Yo! And welcome to this tutorial. It's a bit weird, isn't it? I haven't done a tutorial in a long time. So, I had a few people ask me about optimizations and whatnot of maps. So, I decided to make an entire video series about optimizing a single map. Most of the optimizations are actually going to mess with the look of the map. It shouldn't mess with the actual feel of the map, how the map plays, unless you decide to take some of your stuff out. I can't tell you what your map's going to do at the end of it. It's totally up to you. So, I'm actually going to use Beachhead for this tutorial. Basically, everything about this map I have unoptimized it completely. It's actually running like a pig at the moment. So we're gonna show FPS. Just gonna go to this little arrow, show FPS. I got 60 FPS here. That's looking down on the entire map. Well, 15. That ain't half bad because I'm looking at everything. Everything's loaded. That means all the foliage. There's no culling on the foliage. There's no culling on anything. It is a complete and utter pig. I'm going to be using a spot method. I'm going to look for the worst places in the map. This is actually one of them. 20 FPS isn't half bad. It's not bad. There's also one over here. I know this one's quite bad. 22, 23. 21, 22. So I'm actually going to put in like bookmarks where the camera is. You can do that by hitting this little arrow and coming down to bookmarks. You can set bookmarks. I'm going to set up this one as number 1. So if I move, hit 1 on your keyboard. And apparently it didn't work. Okay, let's come back here. Set the bookmark again. Bookmark, set bookmark 1. Move, hit 1, and it goes back here. I don't know why. That's weird. Let's try the shortcut. Control 1. Yeah, there we go, that works. So, Control 2 is going to be over here. Let's get a really crappy view. 21, 22, 22 and a half, 21 to 22. That's good. So let's set that one to 2. So let's go 1, 2. This one could actually be better. That's alright. So let's reset that one. 1. Yep. That's good enough for now. I could set up more, especially around here, but with most of my well, I'm showing 30 FPS in here at the moment. That's pretty good. So, what to do first? The most basic of things you can do is change the light. So, usually most people, well, in all my tutorials I've been showing to use a dominant directional light. All the maps used to use these. But then we changed over to pure static lights for optimization for for people with really bad PCs. So that's what we're going to do. This is really simple to do. We're just going to right click the light, convert light, directional light, and just put it to a directional light. Usually we use dominant directional light, but we're just going to use a directional. Should change it to a U. There we go. Going to have to rebuild lights. But for now, I'm not going to worry about that. By changing this to a normal directional light, we're actually going to lose some features of the dominant directional, like shadows, and it actually messes with fog, so the fog isn't going to look right anymore. So you may have to fiddle with like your post-processing and fog settings. It's got nothing to do with performance. So do whatever you want with that. Second thing we can do is put a volume around the map. So let's go into top-down view. Whoops. I'm just gonna use this as my base. This is a light mass importance volume. You should have one of these in by default. It's not a performance. What's the word? It doesn't help performance. It just helps with light builds. It makes light builds that much faster. Basically, all the light mass is in this box, and anything outside doesn't really use light mass. We don't care about that. I'm just going to use this box. You can also add one by using the builder brush. Oops, I shouldn't have done that. Let's go back, because I need to find my build brush. It's gone B for brush. There's my brushes. It got naffed over. So you can just find your brush, center of the map, make it as big as you want, make sure it covers all of the map. This one doesn't quite. That'll do. Make sure it's not too big, like that one is. Whoops. Just make it smaller this way. If you click on this, you can actually get an outline. It doesn't really show it very well here because of post-processing, but it's all good. So what this volume I'm about to put in will do, if I could move it, thank you. Let's just go here. So it's under the map, over the map, through the map, wombling free. Yeah, so we're going to add this volume called a precomputatedvisibility visibility volume. I'm just going to get that, and it's done. No, it isn't. No, go away. I need to find where it is. I believe it's the green one. Yes, precomputatedvisibility visibility volume. This will basically unload stuff that isn't in your field of view. So I can show you this. I believe the editor does it by default on the fly. You don't want to do it on the fly. So we're gonna enable view collusion or culling occlusion, and then we're gonna get a second screen. So basically, anywhere we are, stuff on the screen will despawn. This doesn't work by default in game. It doesn't work by default in the editor either. When you play an editor, I mean, you actually have to enable it via world properties. It's in precomputatedvisibility visibility. You actually need to have that ticked. And there's some settings in here that you might want to fiddle with. First of all, place cells on surface. Basically, how this thing works is it splits the volume up into grids, and within that grid, that cell itself has information about what should be loaded in which direction. So it kind of works like a chessboard, where you can only see stuff in front of you. But if you have them on the surface, it only conforms to walkable surfaces, like the ground, the terrain, struck landscape, on top of rocks. There's nothing in the air. So if you have air vehicles, it isn't going to help you. So if you've got air vehicles, untick that. So yeah, that's about that. Visibility cell size. Basically, the smaller the cell size, the more performance you're going to get, in theory. But the smaller the size also means the higher or the longer your light builds are going to take. You have to build lights with light mass for this to take effect in game. 200 is default. Most maps use 2 to 600, depending on field of view or the view distance. So yeah, there's that. Then your aggressiveness. The best way I can explain this is by having you look at Canyon. Canyon uses the most aggressive. If you look at the lights or small objects through the tunnels, say you're looking directly down the tunnel entrance, you're not going to be able to see the lights because the game culls them out because it doesn't think you're going to be able to see it when you actually can. That's controlled by this aggressiveness. Most of the time I use the least aggressive. If the map really does play like a pig, we'll up it to mid or moderate almost. So yeah, that's that. You'll have to build lights to actually see any difference in this. So yeah, I'm not going to build lights, but you're going to gain about, let me think, 2 FPS just by doing that. You might think 2 FPS, that's nothing. 2 FPS is actually a really big jump. It's really, really hard to get frames per second from doing the stuff. The big ones are going to come in when we do our culling. That'll come in a later video. Another thing to mention, you might notice on lit, when you build lights with this type of light, your sky is going to mess up. You may have to use a different skybox because these things work on a basis of finding where the sun is. It's through the material itself, but I'm not going to go into that. It's purely cosmetic. It's not my problem. You'll have to figure it out yourself. As I said, this is purely optimization, so let's get rid of that. What's the next thing we can do? I don't know, because I'm going to do it in the next episode. Because I want to keep these quite short and I want to make a few of them. So next episode we'll be going over a cold distance volume and a nifty way to use that volume in conjunction with individual meshes. So yeah, I actually wanted to carry on from that the end of that, just to show how many FPS I've got just from doing what I did. Most of the FPS actually came from the light. I've changed the skybox because when I built lights, it basically naffed over the skybox material. I also built I built preview lights, so that's why things look a bit crappy. But the FPS shouldn't drop depending on whatever light build you do, as long as the lights are built. So let's have a look. Before we were getting 22 to 23, 21 to 23. Now we're getting 33. We've actually gained 10 FPS. And we've gained about 9 FPS over here. This one is actually the worst one of the lot. So yeah. Just from changing the lights. Next episode, as I said, we're going to be culling things out with the culling volume and with manual culling, culling individual. I'm pointing at my screen and you can't see that. Individual meshes, like we're going to be culling all these trees out in the background, but these trees over here are going to disappear and I don't want them to, so I'll show you how to do that. Also, we're going to be culling out the foliage, because all the foliage, all these trees over here, all the rocks down here, all the grass that goes all the way over here, all the bushes, shouldn't be viewed. It shouldn't be loaded in from this distance. All this stuff over here you should be able to see, simple as. But we're going to be doing that in the next episode. Sorry that my voice is a bit quieter. My mic is on the other side of my desk, so and I can't move it because the wire is all tangled. and I just don't have time to move it because I'm lazy. Okay, so I shall catch you in the next one. Thanks. Goodbye.